good evening, my fellow Americans. It is indeed Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. My fellow Americans, it's always a pleasure to be at your computer, your desktop, or your iPhone, wherever you may be, or Android. No disrespect. Tonight, of course, is a night. It's 1 week after the midterm election that we all have waited for. It has come and has gone. It is already Tuesday. It's already 8:02. If it's Tuesday, if it's 2000 hours, it's a Robert Duverny show. I'm going to give you a few seconds to call a colleague or a friend of yours or a buddy, a loved one. Let them know that the Robert Duverny show just logged in, and it's time for them to log in again. I'm watching the news right now, the news feeder. There's quite a few things that we're going to delve into tonight. We have, as usual, the Robert Duverny show, as always, ready to unload the news. And tonight we have a lot to discuss, a lot to look at. And I think it's going to be a good evening, an evening of information. As always, at the Robert Duverny show, that's why we put a lot of emphasis on a regular basis, knowing that if there's some good news out there, if there's some good, well-thought ideas that I think which is relevant to my viewers and of course the nation, we'll definitely share it with you. Again, tonight, like I said, I won't tell you to pull your popcorn because it's no laughing matter, but then again, there's a lot of information that we're going to delve into. We're going to give you a sense of where we are as a nation, what progress that we've made, and where we are in the post midterm election of 2022. Again, I'm going to give you a few seconds. I'd like to give kudos to my lovely cousin, Rosalind Jen Lewis. She's the first one to log in this evening. There's a prize waiting for you, my lovely cousin. There's a prize here for you. And again, we're in a season of giving. It's Thanksgiving. And those of you who are logged in, I'm sure Mrs. Jen Lewis is the first one to be logged in this evening. There's a gift waiting for you. Then again, stand by. And I encourage you to make sure you sign into YouTube. This is where I know that those who are loyal to the Robert Duverny show, where I can get a hold of you. And I encourage you to share this with this channel. Share this YouTube channel with your friends, your coworker, your colleague at work, wherever you may be. I think it's important that we share the good news. All right. We don't want just a few folks to be able to tap into these good information that we're given. But then again, we want everyone to participate, to take part of this great platform that we've created, with you, of course, in mind since the get-go. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to get a colleague on the feed here, because we have so much to delve into. I would have to repeat myself again over and over again because there's so much, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, and it's interesting. I mean, that's the reason why I'm taking time, giving you time to call a colleague, a friend, let them know that we are on. Okay, I'm seeing quite a few start coming in. Again, very good. Keep coming, keep logging in, and then we're about to delve right into it. Again, those of you who logged in early, kudos to you. And again, a lot of soul searching to be done tonight, and we'll help you do just that. All right. Well, my fellow Americans, the time has come. It's 8:05, 5 minutes after the hour. What we have tonight, as you all know, last Saturday, I had an opportunity to bury my aunt in Orlando. It was a major loss. Is a woman I've known for since I was 4 years old. At one point, I thought she was my mom, and that is the only woman that I've known as a caretaker. One who instilled so much in me, and I had an opportunity, like I shared with you a couple weeks ago, to see her one last time, and I guess she was just waiting for me to say goodbye, and saw her on a Saturday, and she was gone the next day, but we spent great time, and then I have some sense of closure, and of course, a man of my caliber would not want to be silent. I think I was able to express my feelings and the woman that she was to me, and I know she's in good hands, and shall see her again. That's for sure. Well, we're gonna switch topic real quick. I'm sending kudos to my lovely cousin in Orlando, Fanet, Paul. We love you here in the great state of Florida. America loves you. Condolences, and we're strong. We're here with you. I'm only a phone call away. Again, the Robert Duverny show comes here every Tuesday. There's an opportunity for you to log in and get a chance to see me, okay, live, and then you can ask questions and some of the air as well. But then again, we're more than happy to share with you. All right, my fellow Americans. At this time, I'm going to delve into one other topic. I'd like to take this time to wish happy birthday to Dr. Kessia Marcellus. Dr. Kessia Marcellus celebrating her birthday today. Dr. Marcellus, who probably out there right now with her husband, Eve Marcellus, celebrating that birthday. Again, from the Robert Duverny Show, the entire staff here, we'd like to wish you a happy birthday as you open up a new chapter in your life. Enjoy your birthday, and may God be with you. Thank you. Well, my fellow American, again, last week we experienced firsthand the midterm election. Well, the midterm election has long anticipated. There are those who call of a red wave. There was a bloodbath. That was the idea. That was the aim that the Republican Party had hoped for. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Well, there could be, there's a school of thought who may argue that there was some miscalculation on the part of the Republican Party, just like there was some miscalculation on the part of the Democratic Party. Yet, at the end of the day, like I've always said at this show, the American people ultimately are the winners. This is what we love about America. We are a nation of resilience. We are a nation with backbones. And oftentimes our politicians have taken us for granted. They bombard us with advertisement when it comes to election. But yet, when it comes to issues that really affected our neighborhood, we don't see them. And once the election is over, you don't get to see these politicians. However, this year, this midterm was unlike any other. Generally, during the midterm election, the party in power, in that case, the Democratic Party, who occupies the White House, they normally suffer a lot of blowback. Well, reason being, it's simple. We, the American people, we like to see changes. We like competition, and that's the reason why we love sports. We all Americans, but we like to compete. And at the end of the day, we believe when we compete, great ideas come about. And that's the reason why we have two chambers in Congress. We have the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. And those two houses, they do pass legislation. They pass appropriation bills, and which ultimately will go before the president and sign into law, and then at the strike of a pen. But again, I believe that when we come as a body, and where we discuss issues, well, we're just not just throwing mud just to make a scene, or just to be aired on primetime TV of the most outrageous thing, but then again, concrete policies. These are the things that make our country great. I don't think what makes America great, I heard MAGA, what makes America great, it's not a slogan, it's not calling people names, it's not trashing your fellow citizens, but what makes us great is when we see the very best into the other one. When we see the very best in our neighbors, when we see the very best in those who don't even look like us. That's what makes us great, America. Not so-called names, calling others name, and that does not make us who we are. That's not what makes us great. What makes us great is when we pick up one another, when we encourage others to go beyond what is expected, when we take the long route rather than the shortcut. That's what makes us great, America. Well, this year, as you know, the Supreme Court with the Dobbs decision, and later on with the Roe versus Wade, which was no longer law of the land. As you know, the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, has recently recently done away with the with Roe versus Wade. So and they turned that back to the state. Now it's no longer a federal mandate, but again, they send the power back to the state. Now each state, as you know, this is something that's been in the making for quite some time. Roe versus Wade has been on the back, been worked on behind the scene for the past almost 50 years. We'll be set 50 years next year, and yet it was a long process. You could say it was somewhat slow, but ultimately they've reached that decision with the supermajority, conservative majority in the Supreme Court. They were able to struck it down 6-3. So. This is what happened. Actually, it was 5-4. Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice Supreme Court John Roberts did vote with the liberal, would make it 5-4. But then again, he did vote with Dobbs, which ultimately was the case in point in Roe versus Wade. So Chief Justice Roberts, is a smart man that he is, they want to take the fall, they want to take the blame. He struck down Dobbs, which was the case that was presented before the Supreme Court, which ultimately opened the floodgate, and that when it was appealed to the Supreme Court, and he sided with the liberals, make it 5-4, and then that was it. But the Democratic Party has really done some grassroots work, whereas they made abortion the key component during the election period. I mean, all women, you don't tell a woman what to do, right, women? You don't tell a woman not to shop. It's like telling a woman not to go out and shop, not shopping for shoes and purses. And what? Man, that'll be a strike. Are you kidding me? All right, so they knew exactly what they were doing. The Democratic Party, they were smart enough to really make that a women issue, and then even some men were lobbying for the women. So of course, if you want to come home, man, you better get behind those women, man. So it resonated. I think it was a good scheme on the part, although they spent too much time on it, but it ultimately paid dividends. Of course, we have inflation, and the Republican Party had made that front and center: inflation, crime, immigration, and so there were sort of other things that they were thinking about, but they didn't have any proposal. I mean, I can tell you all I want. I can tell you, I can paint you a rosy picture. Yet, what's behind it? If I cannot deliver, at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. And that's where the Republican Party faulted. And in addition, their candidates that they presented, they were too far right. They were on the extreme. And the Democratic Party has done a good job by pointing at these guys. These are the people that you want to control the government. Yeah, these are people that you want at the helm. And it resonates with people. When you tell Americans they're going to lose their freedom, okay? On the other hand, inflation can be here, right? How long can inflation? We are the United States of America. Okay, we're going to come out of this. But again, if you were to take my freedom away, what else do I have? Think about it for a second. So I think that in itself resonates with the American people, and we see a great stride on the part of the voters, or they did not take no for an answer, and I think ultimately those who counted out the American people don't ever bet against the American people. Well, President Biden knew that very well, and he never underestimated the American people. He knew the American people are very resilient, very smart, and especially when it comes to freedom. Okay, and the Democratic Party should have been wiped out. I mean, think about it. Look how close it is in the House of Representatives. I knew coming into the midterm that they were going to lose the House of Representatives. It was given. But for them to be competitive, to me, that right there speaks for itself. And they retain the Senate right now. It's they're already in the majority, 50-49, and there's a runoff, as you may be well aware of, for Georgia. There'll be a runoff on December 6th. Mr. Herschel Walker will be facing Reverend Raphael Warnock in the Senate comes December 6th. That ultimately will give them the supermajority that they needed. I mean, if you want to have a supermajority, 50 plus 1, 51, that right there, they'll be able to do so much thing without the help of the other party. And like I said earlier, the Robert Duverny Show, we do not take any side. We don't have any dog in the fight. And I've always wanted the Republican Party to hold the House of Representatives and the Democrats to hold the Senate. You may ask why. For the simple fact that when both chambers are in constructive debate, let's say there's a bill that is introduced in the House, and it doesn't have to be dead on arrival, DOA. It doesn't have to be. But again, there may be things in there that when it goes to the Senate, remember that the bill has to go through both chambers, okay? Now, when it gets to the Senate may not like it, and they may want to water it down or add some stuff that they want, and then send it back to the House and for reconciliation. And then that right there, I think that's what the American people want. They don't want just one party takes all. No, I don't want that. You know, I think I like what I've seen. I like the fact that the Democrats look like somewhat the grown up in the room. I mean, that's the reason why I want the Senate too, because they write laws. You know, that's what's called senators. You know, the signori from Latin, the seniors, the elders. And so they have more reasoning, and they're in there for 6 years. They've seen a thing or two. Unlike the House of Representatives, every 2 years, there's no continuity. Although this is what we've seen as of late, I think it's a good thing for the American people. And just tonight, just before I got on the air, Mr. McCarthy will eventually become the Speaker of the House. He has won the support of his caucus, and then he looks like he's on his route to have that mantle and then be the Speaker. This is something that he's always dreamed of, and he fought for it. But again, he's gonna have a wake-up call pretty soon, because there's so many right wing of the Republican Party. Sometimes I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, just like we have some on the other side as well, the Democratic Party. Sometimes the things that they're fighting for, you wonder if these guys are missing a couple screws or a couple pages. But yet, I think when we have a grown-up conversation, when we have dialogue that advancing the cause of the American people, I think at the end of the day, we all win. And so tonight, before I delve into some of the highlights of the elections, there was a lot to delve into. I think it's great. I think the American people are happy. The fact that what they have wished for have come to fruition. And I'm going to cover some stuff here. I'm going to start, of course, with my home state, the great state of Florida. As you know, in the state of Florida, Mr. DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, has retained his gubernatorial seat, the governor mansion. He won the governor's mansion by almost 20 points. So in other words, Mr. Chris did not stand a chance to get rid of Mr. DeSantis. Of course, it was a great matchup, and then the debate was very constructive and very substantive at the same time. So it was a great debate they had on the last time we saw the two going at it on the 14th, I believe, of last month. It was great. So I think we have a feeling of, if Mr. DeSantis were to run for office, what to expect from him, his vision, his for America, and of course the way he conducts business. And this is something that we may differ on some instances and some viewpoints, but then again, I believe he seems to be a reasonable man, and he's a guy who doesn't take no for an answer. We appreciate his service, and tonight we can say for sure that Florida is a red state. Okay, Florida is a red state. Marco Rubio did not have any problem maintaining his seat at the in the Senate. Mrs. Val Demings did not have a chance against Marco Rubio. Again, Florida is returning red again. Although the previous years, Mr. Obama won the state twice, and but that has changed as of recently. But we can see that the state of Florida is really becoming red and red again. All right. Next point is we have for the first time in a long time no Democrat in the influential area in the Florida politics. So which means that we can talk all we want. We don't see any Democratic member or at some influential position within the Florida government. Last year we had we have the commissioner Nikki, who was the commissioner of agriculture. It was a very influential position. As you know, she was running for governor, and she didn't do well during the primary against Charlie Crist. Ultimately, Charlie Crist won the nomination, and you all know what happened from there. All right, so there's a lot of work to be done if in fact the Democratic Party wants to make some headways. I think they need to spend more money in the state of Florida, of course, and then have a better campaign project in the state of Florida, because otherwise Florida is going to be red, not even purple, but pure red, like red meat. All right, let's move on to New York. New York, of course, Governor Herschel won the gubernatorial election. As you know, what happened the last year, and you know, Mr. Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor for New York, after his scandal with some allegations, and was resigned from his position. So the lieutenant governor assumed that position. It is the first time ever a female is the governor for the state of New York. Although she ran a good campaign, and then she ultimately won the seat. Now we have a first time ever in New York woman as governor. I mean, there's a lot of history in the making here. All right, very good. Now we move on to also Maryland. Maryland, that's something we're going to move to the state. We're going to each state by state. Those that stand out the most. The Maryland state, we have a gentleman by the name of Wes Moore. Wes Moore is a former military man. He fought during the Kuwait War, and actually not the Kuwait War, but the Iraq War, and he served in Afghanistan as recently, and he's a fine individual. There's a man. He's only 44 years old. He has a great future. He became the third black man ever to assume the governorship in any state. And in the U.S. history, we have three black governors. The first one was Lawrence Douglas Wilder, who served as the 66th governor of Virginia. He was first elected in 1990, and he served one term. As you know, in Virginia, you could only serve one term at a time. So from 1990 to 1994. And the second black governor that we had was Deval Patrick of Massachusetts from 2007 to 2015. So he served two terms. This is what we have in right now. We have Westmore, 44 years old. He'll be sworn in January 2023, and to be the head of the state, the governor for the state of Maryland. So he already picked his cabinet. He also putting things together, and then he has a fine background. He's a man who served in the military. He's a man who's been a CEO of nonprofit corporations. So he has some kind of a pedigree that will ultimately serve the people of Maryland very well. And he has a lot on his plate, but hopefully he associates himself with good individuals and who would ultimately serve at his cabinet and then make some headways in a good way. And who knows? He's young. He probably has a future in federal arena. Who knows? So it's let's not put the horse before the chariot here. But again, he's well articulated, well spoken. He is a man who seems to have a passion for public service, and this is what we lack in our leaders today. We have those who only gone in there for the fame, but there are those who take it as a call, as something that that they carry. Okay, and then these are the folks that we elected at this time in some of the states. All right, so I have a little trivia for you here. Again, we at the Robert Duverny Show, something that I always put emphasis on is the power of voting. The power of voting, and every vote matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Well, we're going to bring this to you just recently in New Hampshire. At the House Representative of New Hampshire, we had the Democrat overturned an election result. What happened is in New Hampshire, the race for the Hillsborough County House District 16 seat in Manchester, so Democrat Maxine Mosley defeated her Republican opponent Larry Gagne by a single vote. Did you hear me? One vote. So when we sit back home, we don't exercise that muscle power that we have, that muscle vote. See, by going out there and vote, it's a powerful tool that you have. Now, she was fine with it, but then again, by law, when you meet a certain threshold, it's too close, like under 0.5%, which is minimal, it automatically activates a recount. It's not up to the candidate or the party, but it's the voting system. It's the electoral system. So they went ahead. Now the Gagne, the Republican, was calling to win the election by 23. Now, because of that margin of very small percentage, which activated a recount, they went ahead and recount the vote manually. What they found out, not only they wiped out the 23 vote that the Republican candidate, Mr. Gagne, won, it was switched now. They found out that Miss Maxine Mosley won by one vote. So at the end of the day, it was from 1799 to 1798. So Miss Mosley, by one vote, won the congressional seat 16 of New Hampshire in the county of Manchester. Now she's going to be representing the District 16 of New Hampshire at the U.S. representative in Washington, D.C. So that's the importance of voting. So that's the reason why I would like to emphasis on voting. All right, folks? So very important. Keep that in mind. From 1798 to 1799, that one was a one in the making. So I think it's important that we keep those things in mind. So, and now on another trivia, we could see in that election, we had a lot of newcomers of race, background, sexual orientation, young folks. We even have a Z, Generation Z in the house. We have a young man from the great state of Florida for District 10. District 10, I'm referring to Maxwell Frost. He will be the first member of Generation Z elected to Congress. Generation Z, I'm sure most of you should know that. It's a trivia question. If you can tell me where does Generation Z start, those of you on Google, this is the time to do it. Generation Z, I have you here, is anyone born after 1996. So if you fall on Generation Z, if you were born after 1996. So he's a young man. He's only 25 years old. He District 10 in Florida was served by Congresswoman Val Demings, who ran for the seat to unseat Senator Marco Rubio. That didn't work out well. And this young man, 25 years old, Maxwell Frost, will be the first member of Generation Z elected to Congress. Frost will succeed Democrats Val Demings, of course, who vacated the seat to run for Senate. So that right there, that was history in the making. This is the first time we have a Generation Z, 25 years old, going to serve with all these seasoned politicians in Washington. So he's going to have a lot to learn, and hopefully they don't want they don't bump head too much. All right. All right, congratulations to this young man. We only pray that things get better for him. All right, another thing that we'd like to touch base with you, the state of Michigan. Michigan, I remember my man, all right, Steve Mad Dog called Michigan. So the Michigan sent to Congress a black man. First time ever. The Republican Party has been represented by a black man named James John from the great state of Michigan. He'll be the first black Republican from Congress from Michigan. So I guess we're making headways. And it's a great thing that we see some states are making trends, and I think sky's the limit. All right. So now, even the Democratic Party made some headways. We have two states, the state of Massachusetts and the state of Oregon. What they have in common, they sent two women governors. Massachusetts, of course, has elected its first female governor, and that woman happened to be a lesbian. And this is the first time LGBTQ will be represented at this post. And again, so in Oregon. Oregon also sent their first female lesbian, the first LGBTQ represent in Oregon. So there was a lot of history in the making here. I mean, these people are making trades, they're making major trends. And also Republican has also elected the first woman ever, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You guys should remember Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She was the press secretary for the White House during the Trump administration. She's the daughter of former governor Arkansas, Mike Huckabee. He's a Fox. Okay. I mean, one of my, she's killing me, man. Miss Flemings, you're killing me. But anyway, we love you. Stand still. Well, it's interesting. We've seen Sarah Sanders. She's the governor for the state of Arkansas, and this is a state that former President Bill Clinton served as governor as well in the state of Arkansas. You know, Bill Clinton originally from Arkansas, and so we had great things here in the making. Again, this midterm election was pretty amazing. One thing that struck me the most about this midterm election. You know, as a student of history, one who has great passion when it comes to history, and then I think history has a tendency to repeat itself, whether or not you want it. But again, if you're a student of history like I am, you tend to dig in the past, and then there are some trends when you see them happening, so you know, hey, I think I may have seen this movie somewhere, so I'm not gonna fall for it. And then one thing that history teaches us is to make things better, presently and for the future. And because we've seen a thing or two prior. Reason I'm pointing this out is for the simple fact that when we look at what happened in 1866, we can see a similarity with 2022 midterms. 1866 was the year after the Civil War. You guys remember that, right? All right. I'm sure I have smart viewers here, and those of you watching the Robert Duverny Show, you have an encyclopedic knowledge when it comes to world history and, of course, the U.S. history. What happened in 1866 was a year after the Civil War. So it was a year of great tension within the United States, the uncertainty. But yet, the American people, don't ever count it. Don't ever bet against the American. You're going to lose. Don't you ever bet against the American people. You're going to lose. I read a commercial. You're about to lose your job. You're about to lose your job. if you bet against the American people, you're going to lose. So what happened is this year midterm was a year of lot of tension, and then there were those who thought they were not going to have the United States as they knew it, and that right there was not acceptable. And then we see what happened in the state of Arizona, and Arizona is a state that I admire a great deal. I have a couple colleagues over there, but then again, at the end of the day, when you hear the rhetoric that coming out, those folks who want to assume a leadership role at the state level, you know, that's frightening. I think as Americans, our job is to make the system better, not to have others to show some type of lack of interest. And no, we should encourage others to participate. We should encourage others to believe in our system. Now, how in the world are you going to run for an office and you're going to tell me that the system is rigged? But if the system is rigged, why are you running? But later, let's say you're running, but what you plan on doing? Are you going to make things better? Or are you saying that just to scare the folks? Again, this was a rhetorical question. So the American people, just like in 1866 after the Civil War, a time of uncertainty, they did not sit on their hands. They actually voted. And then if you think there's a system that's not working, your job is to fix it. You don't fix it just by sitting on it. Well, tonight, I give kudos to all the young folks, young students, who, I should point this out. This is kind of funny, right? I'm sure most of you guys get those spam call, and then, I think those pollsters, you guys have to do it a better way. Don't call folks. Don't you? I mean, we're not going to answer your call. And if we do, we're going to tell you what you want to hear. So I'm sure the pollsters were wrong this year. I mean, in my case, I don't know how many times I signed up for the national database of the do not call list. I still get called. I still get now the new phones get telling me potential spam. Wow, potential spam call. So that's amazing. So, which means if I'm in the mood to talk, I'll pick up the phone. And we never know. Sometimes as my gate is calling me, and then that's a potential. I'll think that I'll get another, message. But it is what it is. So the young people really went out there this year and they cast the ballot. And they cast the ballot for the simple fact that young people don't like being told. They are the future of America. You don't scare young people. Again, at the Robert Duverny Show, full disclosure, I have no dogs in this fight. But one thing I'd like to reassure my political leaders, don't you scare folks. That's not going to get them to vote. That's not going to get them to fold. But how about you educate them? How about we have a debate that is broadcast to the nation, different parties with respect, and present your case. Here, more people right now, they have access to the internet. They have telephone. So if you tell me something right now, just like I'm right up, see, as I'm talking to you right now, you guys can go check out what I'm saying to you instantly. And if I'm wrong, then point it out. But before I come here on this show, I have to do my homework. You know how many people want to wipe me out the Robert Duverny show? Just think about it. But all my facts are being checked and checked and checked again. I think that's what we want from our leaders. To have some sort of a decency to the people that you're going to present a case before. Don't scare them. Don't tell them things that are untrue. That's unethical. It is. I think if we want to win an election, let's treat others with respect. Yet, as leaders, there are those who look up to you. There are those who aspire to one day hold your position. So what are we leaving to the next generation? Well, this is what this election was all about. President Biden all along believed in the American people. He never doubted them. He never belittled them. Never. I think you see the very best in other people when you praise them, when you see the very best in them. Oh, look who's here. My brother, Mr. Odelson Ambrose from the great city of Miami. Mr. Odelson Ambrose, you could not have said it better. Only cowards do that, sir. With hands down. Yes, that's what they do. By using scare tactics that will somewhat discourage you. Say, you know what? I don't want any part of this. But you know what? They confront them head on. And that's what we had last week. Well, it's a wake-up call for all those who doubted the American people. Not because we're not doing our duty as a public servant. To serve as a congressman, as a senator, as a U.S. president, it requires a level of servitude. Now, you tell me who in recent years possess those qualities, who do not see self but see the people. That's what we need in our leaders. So until we encourage others to partake in the system, we're only doing them a disservice. And I think history will judge us. And when history will not be kind to us. In the next 20, 30 years, historians will look at this midterm. And they will tell you exactly what went wrong, where we dropped the ball. So let's be on the right side of history. Let's be one who uphold those values. Like it says in our Declaration of Independence. Let's see each of us as brother keepers. It says in the Constitution that we, the people, it did not say they, it said we, the people. Just that, those two words, we, the people. In other words, everything comes out of us. The second says, we, the people. It says all men are created equal with certain unalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's hope these truths to be self-evident. Let's hold them as such. Let's be on the right side of history. Let's hope that history is kind to us when our time comes. That's all I have for you this evening, my fellow Americans. I'd like to send some regards to first timers. I can see Mr. Mesidor from the great city of Miami. Good evening, my brother. So if you want me to be your next senator, sir, I want you to start spreading the word and let others know that, hey, we can do it together. All right? So, well, I guess I got to vote in you, sir. Thank you. Let's keep it real. Okay, yes, indeed, my lovely cousin. Well, let's keep it real. It's important that we keep it real, just like the real deal. That's what we do at the Robert Duverny Show. We do not have any dogs in the fight. This is something that I've always disclosed. We want the very best for America. And I think when we don't play partisanship, we get to see both sides and then encourage others to do even better. My fellow Americans, until we meet again next time, wish you the very best. It's already 8:48, 20:48, 48 minutes after the hour. It has been a pleasure to be with you every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Again, we've seen a lot of progress and a lot of great things. Let's build on what we have, and hopefully there's a lesson to be learned, and the red wave did not happen. We still have our freedom, and America is still thriving. Until next time, my fellow Americans, have a good evening. I'll see you next week, Tuesday, for a show alike. Good night. Thank you.